And have you had much chance to watch films? Have you seen things that excited you?
Yeah.
And films that you think, yes, I'm glad cinema is not dead.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think there's been so many films. So many films I'm just trying to think of sort of to specify. I mean, of course, there's been like all the awards films which came out a few months ago. And also kind of a few, again, looking into older films as well, like that thing of kind of catching up on films which you sort of said, oh, I must watch that, and I never have. So I'm just trying to think of a couple of them that,
well, like classic films, or just films that you haven't seen from the last
classic films. Like a friend of mine put me onto films which I'd sort of heard of, and then but actually kind of had no clue of the story. Like I watched Five Easy Pieces the other day with Jack Nicholson, and I thought that was really cool because it was just sort of one person's. There wasn't a huge amount of story to it, you know. It's not an obvious kind of A to B. It's just kind of cycles of behaviour in different places, and I thought Jack Nicholson was great.
So phenomenal, yeah.
He's just so brilliant. So there's been a fair bit. I mean, actually watching television, I've just started watching Mayor of Easttown, and the acting in that is just amazing.
I haven't seen it yet.
Everyone in it is just so brilliant. It's really inspiring to kind of watch something. Go, yeah, I can't wait to sort of get back and have a go. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I was wondering about you and other specific things that you'd really like to do. Would you like to, I know you're writing, would you like to write and direct, or would you like to write and get someone else to direct? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would really love to. I'd really love to. I think, as I say, yeah, I mean, you know, like I've been sort of writing for a wee while, but it's this thing, as we was just saying before, I must admit, I'm sort of nervous about kind of, I want there to be a final polished piece that I am pleased with, that I can sort of go, there's what I've sort of had a go at, and for that to sort of speak for itself. But by the same token, I think a reticence to, feel okay about talking about something while it's still a learning process is kind of stops you even getting started with stuff. So I'm writing. I had a number of ideas that I'm kind of figuring out and putting time aside to do. And I don't know what form or how and when they sort of come to fruition, and what is fruition sort of thing when they're finished. But it's something that I'm kind of learning more and more about, I want to participate in a kind of in telling, I guess, sort of learning to tell a story from all different ways, of not just kind of facilitating it from an acting point of view, but to try and work out how you can kind of articulate an idea in a narrative. Because I think you've got all these sort of themes or situations which you just want to kind of figure out or put down there or think, oh, that will look cool. But then actually there's such an art into putting them into a cohesive narrative, or playing with forms as to, like, how to show those things, whether it needs to be a narrative or I don't know. I would love to like write and direct one day, but I'm just kind of, so I'm doing my own homework in the time in between, and that's been a big part of lockdown actually. But I'm also just trying to kind of keep eyes and ears open when I'm working. I'm getting to try to sort of throw myself into different ways of working as well, and observing the peaks and troughs of something like a situation like lockdown, or how processes of work change due to higher powers, like the way that kind of COVID has changed, and gone, oh, okay, if I ever was to direct, there's some real use in having people isolated together for a long period of time. But then there's also some difficulties with that, and like, how can that go into telling the story, and what story might benefit from that, and what story might suffer from that as well. So just trying to kind of take the bits of learning as they come along.
Absolutely. Are you then optimistic about the future of cinema?
Yeah. I think so. I think I mean, I'm really hopeful. I think you have to be. I think there's so much that over this last wee while in so many senses, kind of socially, politically, personally, that I think there's been so much which we've all been asked to confront, and finding different ways to articulate that is so healthy. And be that in kind of conversations that you have with your friends and family, or kind of on a wider level through stories, and what form those stories take and how they're told. I think, there's so much that is to be discussed and to be put out into the world. So I feel very hopeful that there's going to be a ton of stories and amazing perspectives kind of come from this time. And I'm very hopeful that there's still a kind of a want to see them in a cinema, because I do love rooms like this. I think it's really, and again, in the same way, if we talk back to that process of focus, I think there's so much, your head is kind of pulled over in so many different directions nowadays, and the ease with which we can get to stories and television and many different things is a wonderful thing. But then the flip side of it is it's really lovely to kind of be isolated into an experience for an hour and a half, and something really healthy to have your focus pulled, and to be kind of given to something for a portion of your day. So, I'm hopeful that the cinema sticks around.